Holdo, a deer, a female deer, Rey, a Palpatine, and also all the Jedi. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of ZETAS Prevails. I've got a Faction Essentials video for you today, and it's going to be about Resistance Faction. I know that a lot of people are unlocking their Reys today or in the next few days because of the cool pack that CG released, so congratulations on that, by the way. This is actually an updated Faction Essentials video because the first Faction Essentials video that I've ever made was, in fact, Resistance, and I just spiced up the same background here, the same graphic. I added the two characters that have been added to the faction. I know that Ben isn't in fact Resistance, so you need to keep that in mind as well. But the people who do know that are my patrons. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for all your support, and thank you for knowing that Ben is not Resistance. He's Resistance adjacent. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. And guys, if you want to support the channel for free, all you gotta do is like, subscribe, comment, do something to mount the algorithm, guys. Even Rose Tico mounts the algorithm, which, as I'm saying that, I realize that might be a deterrent, so try not to think of that. Just blank your mind. Now, I'm going to put a bunch of links in the video description for different uses of Rey, because we're not going to show footage today. I'm sorry to say, this is just, there's too much to cover. This faction is more and more complex, and so I'm going to talk about how to run the team, how it kind of fits together and everything, but I'm not going to just show you all the footage. So you can check out this one. This is probably this is made before Ben Solo came out, so that it's a little out of date, but I'll be putting out another video eventually using the Zori team as well, probably like a crash course video on that. And so go check out the video description for all the links and everything. And that being said, let's get to the team comps here, guys. Whoa, that was not even a sneak peek. I don't even know what that was. It's just some random video playing. Now, there are probably three total teams that you can run with Resistance. A lot of people want to know what the best team comps are, and it's just kind of complicated. The thing is, Jedi Training Rey used to be her own team a long time ago, and still is just really strong, but she just kind of is now, in my opinion, she belongs with Rey. So, whereas we'll talk about the Jedi Training Rey team, and there's actually a few videos, there's at least one video that I'll link in the video description showing her lead. I think in general she's just going to go with Rey now. The other two, so the three teams would be Galactic Legend Rey. There would also be a Jedi Training Rey in theory, and we'll talk about that a little bit and show the comps, and then a Zori team. And those are probably the three, because Resistance don't work well with others. They're basically just a faction that works with each other. And then, with the exception of Rey, Galactic Legend Rey changed everything because she works with all the light side characters. If you put a dark side character with them, then it really messes with the whole team. And I typically would say, unless you have a really compelling reason not to do it, or to do it, I would recommend not putting any kind of dark side character with the team. Now, Rey herself, with the modding, she just does she does two forms of damage, basically. One of them is Sudden Whirlwind. If you put the Zeta on her, and you want all her Zetas, guys, you can ignore her basic one for just a tiny bit, but all of them, man, she is not very good without her Zetas, unfortunately, and I know it's expensive for a lot of people. My alt that is just about to unlock her will have 2 Zetas to apply to her, so it's a whole mess. Well, stay tuned for the video tomorrow that I'm putting out, the one right after this, that will have a Zeta and Omicron ranking for this faction, so you guys can know a little more in depth of what's going on. But essentially, she ignores she does a lot of damage with her whirlwind. It scales with her relic amplifier level, so more relics is better with her. I mean, it is with everyone, but especially with Galactic Legends, and especially with her out of all the Galactic Legends. It ignores, or it disallows, disallows revives. That's all. She declines to acquiesce to revives, or allow them to acquiesce to them. So that's one form of damage. The other one is with her ultimate, and it's distributed equally among all of your opponent characters, and that damage, so Whirlwind is based off of her relic level, and that's it. Unless there's some kind of other modifier that the other team is opposing or is imposing to her. Otherwise, her ultimate is where you get most of her damage, but it's spread out among all of the characters that she's facing. And so you can choose which build you want. Whether you want to have full health or full offense is just, you know, it's up to you, basically. I think full health, it can be really good. I like the offense build a little bit better. So offense sets with offense primaries on all of them that you can, including the arrow. You don't need her to be super fast, somewhere around 500. And then she also, so she still wants a lot of health though. So if you look at these, the health secondaries on the offense primary mods, like health is very important for her. She wants lots and lots of health, even as she is maximizing her offense where she can. And then, I mean, those are her three stats, essentially. Offense and health, and then some speed, if you can get it. And otherwise, the other thing, the reason you would want to put a lot of health on her is her lifeblood ability. She hands out protection up based on her health. As she's hurting herself just a little bit, she hands out a lot of bonus protection to her team. Bonus protection is the one that can't be dispelled, so it just stays with you for forever, guys. It's bonus protection is forever. Alright, so Rey's good, obviously. Relic 9 if you can. I mean, honestly, she's very worthwhile. And remember, she scales her max health and protection off of what her relic level is, which is also very nice. Ben, he does a lot of damage. He's a huge damage dealer, and just keep in mind, folks, so he does special damage. Don't bother trying to get him to crit. I mean, it's nice if you can. The things you want to remember, so I like this as, this is, I can't decide if this is my favorite Omicron or my second favorite, but it applies healing immunity to his target for 4 turns, which is crazy. Can't be dispelled. Force Diet is also nice because it messes with, Rey has to, I mean, it's kind of complicated, but essentially, Rey can't be killed unless Ben is dead. Ben comes back, he revives with Force Diet all the time, and so it messes with people's ability to kill Rey when he keeps coming back, and you can't kill him until she's in the yellow, by the way. So Force Dyad's really nice. The other one that I like all 3 of his Omicrons a lot because he does a lot of damage and he ignores taunt. So he ignores taunt and he ignores protection. He hits underneath protection, and that can be absolutely game-changing, especially when you combine it with someone who hasn't been able to heal for a while. And you know, if you put lifeblood on him, he's even doing more damage. He does a lot of, so just mod him for tons of damage, guys. Just offense out of your ears if you can, which is kind of gross. He hits like a truck, guys. He really, like, people are so shocked sometimes by how much damage you can get out of him. I think so special damage, so it's a higher percent. Yeah, like, look, he's, yeah, 17,000. He hits like a truck with the force. It's like, imagine a force, or a truck that has the force. Don't imagine that. That's the dumbest thing you could ever imagine. My Jedi Training Rey, I don't have good mods on her. She even has a 4 dot. What's even the story with that? That's embarrassing. I should have changed that before the video, but normally I just do graphics, honestly, guys. I just don't have time this time. So she does a few different things. Number one, I love her with Jedi Training, or with Rey, because she's like the second lifter unit for Jedi Training Rey, because she she does a few things. Number one, this ability does a lot. So first off, it calls someone to assist, but it cleanses them, which is really nice against Starkiller, who relies on his opponents being debuffed so that they don't do as much damage to him. But and that can spell doom for them if she does the call to assist and cleanse to Rey right before an ultimate or something. It's really strong. The other really nice thing is about this is that it does healing immunity that can't be dispelled as well. And so with her and Ben overlapping, they can take out a lot of different characters. She also works really well because Rey over time gains a mastery and hands mastery out to her team, and because her mastery includes evasion, her dodge chance keeps going up and up, and eventually I've had a lot of times where people kill my Rey, they kill Ben, everyone, and then they can't kill Jedi Training Rey because she just has 100,000% dodge chance. Really fun times. Now, my favorite comp for Rey currently, if you're putting him on defense, is with L3 and then sortie. Make sure that Ben is the weakest, has the lowest combined health and protection on the team, so then sortie makes him into the VIP, which means he's in stealth half the time and your opponents can't hit you. You can't get him into damage immunity that Rey bestows upon them. You can't do anything. He just sits there and keeps her alive. Really nice, but I know a lot of people don't even have Ben, so we're not going to fixate on him. Now, if you want to run a full resistance team, I would recommend going with Rey, Jedi Training Rey, and then Holdo. Holdo's pretty nice because she's able to taunt passively. When a resistance ally loses foresight, she gains taunt. So don't pay no attention to her mods. I barely use her. Honestly, guys, I use her as a capital ship sometimes when I have to clean up a failed fleet attack, and otherwise she doesn't. So she, like, her Zeta's okay. It gives resistance allies extra crit avoid, which can be nice depending on what's trying to counter you. But for the most part, she taunts when Jedi Training Rey, who starts the fight with the extra oh, this isn't the right one, that's why I'm failing. She starts the fight with foresight, so if someone does like an AoE to start the fight, which, I mean, like Starkiller teams usually do, then her foresight goes away and immediately triggers Holdo's taunt. So yay for you guys. Resistance hero Finn, he is able to pass the turn to people. He does he throws his grenade of healing is what I call it. He's nice on a Rey team. I would typically, if you're gonna put him on a Galactic Legend Rey team, make him pretty fast. Mine is not nearly fast enough. Typically, the goal is to get him to 340 is kind of the golden standard, and then Rey, of course, gives him another 30, and then it's off to the races, because if he can go, he'll hand the turn to his buddy Poe, and then Poe starts handing out the resistance specific inspired buff, which can be a huge mess. I really do like Finn and Poe with Rey sometimes because they do a lot of damage on their own. Resistance are really good at doing damage based off of expose damage, but the only damage that you can really get other than that is with either Ben. Rey, of course, does a lot of damage, and then the hero bros do a lot of damage on their own. They have a high level of attack, and so it stops certain counters. Like General Skywalker really struggles against this because they can sit him down on their own merits and don't rely on Rey doing a whirlwind, which can be timed kind of weird, and which is why what lets General Skywalker kind of in the door. They don't really care about that. They're like, nope, you can sit down during our turns, and then Rey does a whirlwind and it's over. Pretty cool stuff. If you don't have Ben, I would suggest doing a comp like this if you're gonna put him on defense at least. Now Zorii, of course, she's not a leader herself. She goes with hero, or with OG Finn, old school Finn, and he's a tank. I have him kind of modded for more offense. Actually, he does a lot of damage, though. With the Zorii team, probably want to make him pretty tanky. I think I'm kind of wrong there, folks. So yeah, I'll probably remod him now that I'm using Zorii a lot. He does a stun, he cleanses, he taunts, he does a lot of cool stuff. His leadership is really strong, and if you're running a Zorii squad, you're going to want to have his leadership Zetaed. You really need that because of its interaction with exposed damage. You really want that with all the turn meter and exposed damage. Like you need that Zeta. Very, very important. Zori herself hands everyone on her team plus 35 speed as long as you don't have an UFU lead, which Finn is not an Aligned Force user. He's just a dude, all right? And she cleanses, she hands out turn meter, she does a lot of cool stuff, guys. This is a really fun team, and even if you just put it on defense, it really messes with people. One of the top defensive teams currently in the game. They're kind of susceptible to Night Sisters, though. If you put Rose with the team, she has one of the things on her kit, which is a prodigious kit. It is just a really big one. What happens is if someone on her team gets handed tenacity up, she gives tenacity up to her whole team. And so enter Rose Tico, and she's just trying to give tenacity up. She's trying to be underwhelming. She's like, here, random resistance character, please just have tenacity up if you want it or whatever. And Zori's like, you know what? I'm not gonna let your mediocrity drag us down, Rose. We're going to we wish your hot sister was here, but because she's not, we're going to have to use you to give tenacity up to the whole team, and that messes with a lot of different counters for her. Guys, her Omicron is also in this context so crazy strong. I regret saying that. I would like to apply it. I will eventually. It's 3v3 coming up, so I'm probably not going to apply it quite yet, but she's on the short list because Zori is crazy strong already with her Omicron. Zori's Omicron is better than Rose's in this context. You want Zori's first, but then Rose's is also really strong, folks. She just is because of all the turn meter that it gives. And I will be placing this on her eventually. We'll see what happens, but yeah. Otherwise, just keep doing basics, Rose, and shut up. You don't need to talk to do that. Hero Finn, nice to have him here. Obviously, in conflict with placing with Jedi or with Rey, but I mean, he's just a good character who does a lot of cool stuff. And then OG Poe or the other Poe, I think they both have some really good stuff to offer. I like that he's a tank and that he causes a lot more exposed damage. The other Poe does other cool stuff, but he doesn't necessarily do like they're different characters. I think I typically take Resistance Hero Poe for this, guys, but OG Poe can be good as well. Okay, so the Jedi Training Rey team, in theory, it's still a good team. Like on a lot of levels, it is. There's too much overlap with other teams, and honestly, especially now that Galactic Legend Leia is here, so BB-8 really likes to go on either a sortie squad or on a General Grievous squad, and you can't do that if she's with Jedi Training Rey. Also, if you have Rey, you don't want Jedi Training Rey to go off on her own, because she boosts that team so much. The hero bros really want to be on either a Zori team or potentially on a Resistance only Rey team. And so the Jedi Training Rey team excuse me, does pretty well. Like in Rise of the Empire, this is at least a comp that you can use to take down a couple of the different phases that I mean, people are always like, really, you can do that? It's pretty cool, but it's just in theory. So look in the video description, guys. There's going to be a couple videos using the Jedi Training Rey team, some with explanations, some that are just unlisted, but you know, with no sound. But it's a really good team. It's just kind of a it kind of just doesn't exist anymore. I'm sorry to say. It kind of, in 3v3, that might change. I'll show you the 3v3 builds. Now, I don't want to spend much time on this, but BB-8 has a unique that gives his entire team starting turn meter, 8% starting turn meter for every single droid on the team, which means with General Grievous, you get 40% turn meter, which immediately makes him, if you put some decent speed on him, you don't want like speed set on him, but if you can get him up to like 270 or something speed, which it can be kind of tough to do, but if you do that, then he becomes, let's see, what do I have him at? Yeah, 283. If you have 275 on Grievous, he becomes 450 speed, and just deletes. Like, this is the team I use to counter Starkiller if I ever get the opportunity to do that. Now, it's complicated too because B2 goes with Afra to counter Jabba sometimes, etc. But this isn't a video about Afra. This is a video about Resistance. I just wanted to show you BB-8 has other places to be. He get to be. Now, 3v3 is this is probably the most effective defensive team in the game. Oh, not in the game, but for Rey herself. If you have Ben, if you have Resistance Hero, or if you have Jedi Training Rey, this is the team that really messes with people. If you don't have Ben, you can add Holdo, and that kind of works pretty well. In that case, I kind of like the idea of going on offense. You can take Basti here, and this is my favorite way to mirror match the Rey team. So if you see another Rey, and if you don't have Ben available, then just keep in mind Basti is going to keep the other Rey ability blocked, so she can't do Lifeblood, she can't do Whirlwind. You just have to be careful. Hermit Yoda can give the boost to both of them, and Hermit Yoda is really nice with Rey because remember I showed you all that offense that she gets. Hermit Yoda with Master's Training added, it's another 25% to her offense, which is already prodigious. So very, very strong here. Hermit Yoda also has other places to be in 3v3, but these are all just builds I'm trying to show you that you know, you can use this. Basti obviously has places to be in 3s as well, but this is the old school. I'll try to find the mirror match video that I had for 3v3, but it's very consistent, or it was before Ben came out. I think it probably still works though, because all you have to do is Whirlwind Ben a few times and he goes away. So that's pretty nice. Now, if you do that kind of build, then you have a Jedi Training Rey with BB-8 and R2-D2. That, I mean, again, R2-D2 might be taken by Galactic Legend Leia from now on, but one way or another, this team can beat teams like CLS. It can beat a lot of teams. Keep in mind, it doesn't have any protection regeneration, so you're going to drop a bunch of banners, potentially. I guess BB-8 technically can help him and R2 revive, and then if you do Illuminated Destiny with BB-8, you also are able to get a bunch of, well, a little bit of protection recovery. So in 3s, I like the Finn Zori squad. I don't think that Rose really fits on this team. This is the team that's kind of standard these days with a Zori squad. It does pretty well on defense. Now, I think I have just a couple more comps. Yeah, so if you don't have Zori or Ben, then you can do something weird like this, guys. You can run the normal Resistance or Jedi Training Rey squad that I was showing you, and then with Rey, you can actually just go kind of full droid. Queel has great synergy with all these light side droids, and you have 2 pre-taunts, and then probably Queel is going to be just VIP'd immediately. And this team is, I'm not saying that it's amazing, like a lot of comps, like it doesn't have much offense, it doesn't hit that hard, but what it does do is time your opponent out a lot of times. They struggle to get through all of your tanks, and Queel does a good job of keeping them alive, and then of course Sortie does a good job of keeping him alive. Rey does a good job of keeping all of them alive, and she does a good job, at least a passable job, of not keeping your enemies alive. So she does. It can be good, especially in like lower divisions. This is going to cause a really big snarl for people who aren't prepared for this. I realize that you have to also have IG and Queel farmed and ready for it, but man, they're so good. Get relics on them, guys. They're not required for stuff really, but man, they're such a good plug and play pre-taunt team. It's insane, and then the added utility of more droids with them. Pretty strong stuff, because IG-11's gonna dispel all the debuffs on them, and so is L3 when she gets hit. It's a mess. Now, one thing to keep in mind too, folks, is that you can put Cat if you have Cat, but you don't have Jedi Master Kenobi, which some people have that circumstance, and so like my littlest account, it has that circumstance. You can put Cat with Rey, and remember that Cat, on her unique, she gets 50% plus 50% offense, critical damage, blah blah blah. But that she also gets 50% health. She can hand all of that in the right circumstance to Rey, if you don't have any dark side characters, if you meet all the criteria, so you can like plus 50% health on this Rey boosts her another 100,000 health, and her damage suddenly goes from 12,000. We're not even going to count, you know, the extra 800, from 12,000 to 18,000. It just turbo boosts it. Now, is it wise to do that? Sometimes, depending on the situation, maybe you really need to do that in order to counter something that has a ton of hit points, like maybe Lord Vader or something. But, you know, if she's not with Kenobi, or if Kenobi can do fine without Cat, this is a really good option as well. So, anyways, those are the team comps, some of the modding for these teams. It's become I don't know. It's a complex faction, and yet it's pretty simple. Lots of the characters we just ignore, and otherwise they have niche uses that, you know, go with a pretty sad fleet. And I mean, that's essentially it, guys. Rey, amazing talent on offense and on defense. A lot of times you'll find yourself putting her on defense because she gets a lot of holds for you, but she is just as good on offense. You just have to learn how to use her. So go check out those other videos in the video description if you want more. Stay tuned for that Zeta ranking video that should be released tomorrow. Guys, thank you all so much for watching, and remember that in all things, ZETAS prevails.